Okay, so for our next two videos, we are going to be doing the greens in this collection. So the first one is going to be this really sagey mint green, and then the second is going to be this another version of a dark hunter green, sort of like an evergreen. But first we're going to focus on this lighter one, and our next video will be this darker one. Okay, so to get started, like our other colors, we are going to start with 15 mils. I'm going to go maybe a little bit closer to 14 mils because we are going to add just a little bit of a shimmer to this green, not very much. It won't be too noticeable. I just wanted a slightly different finish for this so I can tweak that, but I want to make sure there's space in my base for that pigment. So our pigment takes up more of the volume in terms of the space because it is not pre-dispersed with the base like our liquid concentrate pigments are. So I'm going to start with a half a scoop of our 0077 in this, just to give us a light tint on our green, the green color that we're going to do. And then if you want, you could add a full scoop if you would like more of a darker color to this, like the darker green, or if you wanted more shimmer. So I'm just gonna give this a stir. It's gonna be a very translucent, deep tinted green. And we will use some of this in our dark hunter green as well. And you can play with the amounts, obviously, according to the finish that you want. You can see the swirls. It's very different than when you're just using your liquid concentrates. And again, my focus for this color collection is to not have so much shimmer. We are going to do that with one of our other collection series from the Mia set. But for now, we're doing this light sagey mint green that's mostly cream. Okay, you can see that's pretty deep there. So I'm just gonna do just a little bit so you can see it's very, very faint. So with green, it's always a combination of blue and yellow. So I'm just getting my liquid concentrates ready. I have some of my other bottles open, but in case you didn't notice, whenever you're opening your liquid concentrate, sometimes these little rings can be loose, and it might just be helpful if you go ahead and remove that, because if you start to pour this could fall in there. Not a big deal, you can just take it out and set it aside, but just a little helpful hint just in case you needed it. So because this isn't going to be a really dark color, and any of the darkness that we put in here, we're going to have to lighten up because we are going for a lighter green. I'm just going to do the smallest drops that I can with both our green and our yellow. If I want more, I can always add more, but I know that these are very, very intense and a little bit goes a long way. So I'm going to start with my blue and just do a small drop. So I'm not going to give it a lot of squeeze pressure when I add it. I'm going to mix that up. You'll be able to see it changes the tint quite a bit. And sometimes these changes can be a little intimidating. You might get a little afraid that you're going to mess it up, but everything that we do here is correctable, especially if you follow our rules of adding one scoop or one drop at a time, or just minimal amounts at a time. Then you have more room in your base to correct any of the issues that need correcting or things that you don't like in your mixture. And I'm going to do the same thing with our yellow. So just a small drop there. And then as I lighten this, I'll be able to get a better idea of exactly the tint and the shade of green this is going to be. And again, if you like a more blue green or a more olive green, you adjust that with your blue and your yellow. More yellow is going to make a greener green, and more blue is going to make like a teal green. Can see that See, that changed the green that we have here. So this was a very deep bland hunter. This is a brighter green here. So I'm gonna add 2 drops of white so you can see the opacity change in that mixture. And then we can also get an idea of how it's gonna affect our green, how much it's gonna lighten it compared to the color that we're going for. You can see that lightened it up quite a bit. And I definitely don't, for this polish, I don't want it this see-through. And you can see the black line through that polish. And the more pigments and or liquid concentrates that we add, the more that opacity or translucency changes. So if you are trying to make kind of a jelly finish or something that is just sheer, so you have just the look of a tint of color on your nails, you're going to not want to add so many of the liquid concentrates or pigments. But if you do want more opaque, you definitely want to test that and see the opacity there. So that'll just be like a guide. You can also check it on your nails as well. So I definitely want to lighten this some more. So I'm going to add 4 more drops of the white. I'm comfortable with that based on the amount that it changed with the initial 2 drops that I added. And we're almost there with this color. We're very close already. But the next thing that I do want to check is just to make sure that the opacity is where I want it to be. And I might need to do a little bit more work here. Yeah, so I have a bit more of a ways to go. So what I'm going to do to adjust this is I'm going to add all of the same color ingredients that I did and the whites that I did. So right now I'm at 6 drops of white, 1 drop of yellow, 1 drop of blue, and a half a scoop of 0077. I'm going to double that. And then I think that that's going to correct my polish to the opacity that I want. So we'll do this one more time. And I have enough room in my polish and my base to do this. So you don't want to do more than 3 scoops of the pigment, and you want to stay around no more than, depending on which of the liquid concentrates you're doing, because you don't want to overdo the color in here. You don't want to go around 30 or 40 drops total in your polish. If you go too far overboard, you're going to wind up with it could be a really gunky kind of polish, and it won't last very long in the bottle, and it won't wear as well on your nails. Okay, so then we're going to do 1 of our yellow. One of our blue. Sometimes you have to wait for it to get down to the tip. Okay. And then we're going to do 6 of our white. If you notice, the last blue drop that I did was a little bit larger than the first one. So if I needed to counterbalance that, I would add a slightly, just a tad bit smaller of a drop of the yellow, but I think I'm okay. Okay, so now we can test this and see what doubling my colors did to the opacity of my polish. And you can see, you can't really see through that. That was a little bit of a bigger swatch there, but you can definitely see just by doubling the ingredients how that took it. It's a similar shade, but it is much less see-through. I do want this to be quite a bit lighter, So I'm gonna add 2 more drops of white and see where we're at. I may wanna continue to lighten it, and I can do that, or I might be happy with it. But again, this is a build upon process. And it's according to your likes and the shade that you're going for, or if you're matching something specifically, you can do that. We're very, very close here. Okay, I'm gonna do 2 more of the white. Just documenting those 4 drops that I did. And I'm gonna do 2 more. Just want it lighter. I want to get the contrast from the other colors in this collection. Okay. And that is the color that I was going for. I am super happy with this. Again, you could keep going lighter if you wanted a really light mint. You could absolutely do that with this. But for now, I think I am ready to bottle. And if you're paying attention to when I'm doing a lot of the swatches on the side and when I'm holding this up, you can't really see too much of the finish. And I'll tell you another reason for that. Number one, we didn't add that much. We only added 1 scoop total. But the other reason is when you're adding additional liquid concentrates that affect the opacity of your polish, it is going to start to hide some of the finish on your polish. So that's why you would need to add more of the shimmer pigment if you wanted a shimmer finish than the liquid concentrates. So you're just, again, playing with the ratios to get the finish and the shade that you want. It's very much a creative process. And then I want to be careful not to overflow, so I filled my funnel up about 3/4 of the way full both times, and then just a little bit as I start to get closer to the top. I want to make sure that I don't go over the shoulder by too much. So we definitely don't want to fill to the neck. We want to keep it right just so that it passes the lip of the shoulder. And that's because we'll get displacement from our brush. I am just about there. I'm gonna do, nope, that's it. Okay, so I can put this off to the side and cap my polish. And that is a beautiful sagey mint green. All right, so now we're gonna move on to our dark hunter green in this collection.